Hey, Skull Nation. What's up, you purple-blooded maniacs? This is your die-hard Vikings fan, straight from the heart of Minnesota, firing up the latest from Vikings news. Because if you're not obsessed with our boys in purple, who are you cheering for? Picture this. The NFL trade deadline just exploded like a Brian Flores blitz, with deals flying left and right that could flip the playoff script overnight. And right in the middle of it all, our GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, cool as a winter breeze on Lake Minnetonka, staring down the chaos without blinking. But hold up, did we dodge a bullet or miss the boat on a game-changer? Stick with me through this wild ride, 'cause by the end, you'll be pounding your chest yelling, "Skol!" Let's dive in, fam. What's your gut saying on these moves? Drop it in the comments. As the clock ticked down to that 4 p.m. buzzer yesterday, the entire league turned into a frenzy of phone calls and Hail Mary offers, reshaping contenders and pretenders faster than a Justin Jefferson juke. Teams like the Jets and Cowboys went all in, shipping out stars for draft gold, while the air buzzed with whispers of who might land where next. For us Vikings fans, it felt like waiting for the coin flip on a do-or-die fourth down, hearts racing, purple flags waving. Kwesi, our fearless trade wizard who's never shied from swinging big, had the war room humming. Remember how he snagged TJ Hawkinson back in 22 with that second-round pick and a prayer? That move lit a fire under our offense, turning red zone trips into touchdowns and proving he's got ice in his veins. But this deadline? It tested everything, our depth issues screaming for help, especially in the secondary where we've been patching leaks with duct tape and dreams. Yet here's the hook that kept me up all night. Amid the madness, one massive name, Sauce Gardner, that shutdown corner everyone's been drooling over, got shipped out in a deal that shook the foundations. Fans were chanting his name in our feeds, begging Kwesi to mortgage the farm for that elite coverage. Imagine him locking down receivers in Brian Flores' aggressive scheme, where pressure up front meets lockdown back there. But as the dust settled, no purple smoke signals rose from our camp. Was it genius restraint or a missed shot at glory? We're unpacking it all, scene by scene, with the stats, the drama, and the what-ifs that'll have you replaying highlights till Sunday. Who's with me? Hit that like if you're ready to skull through this. The deadline drama kicked off early, with the league-wide scramble hitting fever pitch as GMs like Kwesi Adofo-Mensah huddled in smoke-filled rooms. Okay, probably conference calls, but you get the vibe. Across the NFL, it was a bloodbath of bold bets. The Jets, drowning at 1-7, decided to torch their defense and rebuild from the ashes, while contenders like the Colts loaded up for a Super Bowl push. For the Vikings, sitting at a gritty 4-4 after that epic Lions upset, the stakes felt personal, our run game sputtering at 4.2 yards per carry, 28th in the league, and the secondaries allowed 7.8 yards per pass attempt, ranking us 22nd. Kwesi's track record? Untouched. He's flipped the script before, like that Hawkinson heist that boosted our tight end production by 35% overnight. But with only 3 picks in 25 staring back at him, every move had to be surgical. What made it electric was the fan frenzy building online Vikings news feeds exploding with "trade for Sauce" memes, purple hearts raining down as we dreamed of pairing him with Byron Murphy Jr. for an unbreakable duo. Stats don't lie. Gardner's held elite receivers to a measly 52.3 passer rating over 4 seasons, per Pro Football Focus. In Flores' system, where we blitz 38% of dropbacks, tops in the NFL, a corner like that could turn third downs into 3-and-outs. Yet Kwesi paced, weighing the roar of the crowd against the quiet math of our cap sheet, already stretched thinner than US Bank Stadium turf in December. It was classic Vikings tension. Do we go all in like the '98 squad that stormed to the NFC Championship, or play the long game like the steady rebuild that's got us playoff adjacent? The air crackled with possibility, and as a fan, I was glued to every rumor tick. That suspense? It peaked when the first bombshell dropped, setting the tone for our purple puzzle. Would Kwesi pull the trigger on a splash that echoes through Minnetonka, or hold steady like a veteran linebacker reading the play? Spoiler, the answer's got layers, and it's why we're breaking it down. Because in Vikings Nation, every decision's a story worth yelling about. What would have you given up for a corner upgrade? Sound off below. Let's debate. Blockbuster alert. The New York Jets, in a move that stunned the league like a blindside sack, traded away their two-time All-Pro cornerstone, Sauce Gardner, to the Indianapolis Colts for a king's ransom, 2 first-round picks, and that speedy second-year wideout Adonai Mitchell. Jets fans are reeling, but for us Vikings diehards, it hit like a gut punch mixed with thank the football gods. Gardner, the 2022 Defensive Rookie of the Year, has been a wall at 6 feet 3 inches, 190 pounds, with 12 pass breakups just last season alone. His elite traits, that seamless mirroring and ball-hawking instincts, screamed Vikings fit in our pass rush paradise under Flores, where QBs face heat on 42% of snaps. The price tag? Steep as the Metrodome roof. Those 2 future firsts alone could be top 15 gold if Indy falters. Plus Mitchell's 4.3 speed adding WR3 pop behind JJ and Addison. Compare it to Micah Parsons' preseason flip for similar draft ammo. Parsons, with 40.5 sacks in 3 years, is a disruptor who warps offenses single-handedly. Sauce? He's elite, no doubt. Opponents' completion rate drops to 48% when he's shadowing per next-gen stats, but his 4-year tape shows flashes of inconsistency, like that 2024 stretch where he got torched for 89 yards on 20 targets. For Kwesi, who'd already eyed corner help after Isaiah Rodgers and Jeff Okudah's solid but not spectacular starts, combined 62% coverage grade. This was the siren call we all heard. But imagine the ripple. If we'd matched that haul, our 25 draft evaporates, leaving us thin as ever on depth that's plagued us since the 22 class whiffed hard. Remember, we missed on 5-day 3 picks that year, costing us rotational pieces. Vikings news lit up with dodged a bullet? Polls, and as a fan who's bled purple since the Moon era, I felt the what-if tug. It could have been our Hawkinson 2.0, turning a 4-4 squad into NFC North terrors, or a bust waiting to haunt us. The trade shook the league, but for Minnesota, it was the mirror forcing Kwesi to ask, is flashy always the fix? Diving deeper into the deal's guts, that 2 firsts plus Mitchell package values Gardner at about $2.8 million per projected snap, per over the cap, a premium that'd cripple our already pick-poor war chest. We've got interior line woes too, with run defense leaking 4.9 yards per rush, 19th league-wide, and trading away futures there feels like robbing Peter to pay Paul in purple. Kwesi's philosophy shines through. He's the guy who flipped a 2nd and 3rd for Hawkinson, instantly juicing red zone efficiency to 62%, but only when the fit's flawless. Sauce in Indy? He's pairing with DeForest Buckner for a nightmare secondary. But reports say the Colts are all in on Anthony Richardson's rocket arm, betting big on youth syncing up. For us, though, the real intrigue was how close we danced to the flame. Insiders whispered Vikings calls to the Jets, probing costs before the ink dried. Fan reactions poured in hot. Kwesi's cooking versus we needed that lockdown now. And stats back the hesitation. Gardner's up and down 24 included a brutal game against the Eagles where A.J. Brown feasted for 125 yards. In Flores' scheme, corners aren't the stars. The front four's 2.8-second pressure time, elite, does the heavy lifting. Still, depth's our Achilles. Okudah's PFF grade at 58.4 screams, good, not great. This trade wasn't just news. It was a Vikings crossroads, teasing glory while reminding us why patience might be our superpower. As the echoes faded, one truth landed. Kwesi's restraint here echoes his bold past, like snagging Hawkinson when others blinked. But did we miss a shot at locking the division? That's the fire-fueling Vikings news chats. Keep it coming in the comments. Skol fam. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah's never been the wallflower type. This is the GM who stormed the 22 deadline like a Viking raid, coughing up a second-rounder and change for TJ Hawkinson, transforming our TE room from afterthought to all-pro threat overnight. That grab? It spiked our receiving yards from tight ends by 28%, per ESPN stats, proving he's got the stones for splash plays when the stars align. Heading into yesterday's frenzy, with our 4-4 record teetering on playoff hopes after that Lions gut-check win, the pressure was on. Fans flooded Vikings news with "Make the move! Please!" Eyes locked on corners, cause our secondary's been a revolving door. Rodgers and Okudah stepping up. Sure, but with a combined 14 missed tackles already this year, the landscape shifted wild. Blockbusters like the Jets' fire sale and Cowboys grabbing Quinnen Williams for edge rush juice. All while we're whispering about depth droughts from that cursed 22 draft where we struck out on 4 of 5 picks, leaving us scrambling for bodies. Kwesi's war room? Buzzing with options, reports of feelers for J.C. Horn or even a vet QB backup post-Wentz injury. But the sauce buzz drowned it out. His style's chess, not checkers. Why blow the bank on a position that's secondary, pun intended, in Flores' blueprint, where blitz packages force errors before coverage even kicks in? We've blitzed to 17 forced fumbles since 23, league high. Smart? Absolutely, but man, it left us fans itching for that adrenaline hit. That decision point? It hung like fog over the Mississippi. Go bold and risk the farm, or build steady for a 25 reload. Kwesi chose the latter, echoing his post-Hawkinson calm. We add when it fits, not forces. Vikings nation split, half cheering the savvy, half howling for hardware. What side you on? This is why we live for these moments. They're the soul of our purple passion. Now zoom in on why corners like Sauce tempt us so fierce. Our pass defense ranks 18th in EPA per play, solid but vulnerable against NFC beasts like Detroit's Amon-Ra St. Brown, who torched us for 106 yards last week. Flores' mantra pressure in 2.5 seconds or bust works wonders, sacking QBs 9.2% of drops, top 10. But without elite DBs, it's house of cards. Enter Gardner. His 1.2% turnover rate forced over career snaps is porn for defensive nerds, and pairing him with Murphy could have dropped our completion percent allowed to sub 60%. But Kwesi eyed the board. We've got $18 million cap crunch next year, and gutting picks for a maybe star? Nah, that's 22 Cleveland vibes, trading for Deshaun Watson and regretting ever since. Fan pulse on Vikings news? Electric polls showing 62% wanted the splash, citing our 3-5 road record begging for lockdown help. Yet Kwesi's history whispers wisdom. Post-Hawkinson, we went 13-4, not by overreaching but layering smart. Depth's the quiet killer, missed 22 picks left us with 0 rotational LBs contributing, forcing vets like Danielle Hunter to play 85% snaps. Trading for Sauce? It'd amplify stars but expose the bench. This hesitation wasn't fear. It was calculated fire, the kind that forges champions. Who's your dream deadline snag if not Sauce? Spill it. As the deadline dust settled, Kwesi's poise stood tall, a reminder that the guy who nabbed Hawkinson knows when to fold him. But in a league of sharks, did we swim safe or miss the feast? That's the Vikings way. Heart-pounding, debate-fueling gold. Sauce Gardner's tape is a highlight reel wrapped in controversy. Elite highs like shutting out Tyreek Hill to 3 catches on 12 targets in 23, plummeting his YAC to league lows, but dips that scream volatility, like that 24 meltdown versus Green Bay where Jordan Love carved him for 162 yards. Over 4 seasons, his PFF coverage grade swings from 89.2 peaks to 62.4 valleys. A roller coaster no GM wants at premium cost. For us, it'd slot perfect in Flores man-heavy looks, 34% usage, third most, where his press technique disrupts routes at the line. But Kwesi, scanning our roster gaps, interior DL allowing 4.7 rush yards, bottom 12, secondary depth thinner than purple face paint. Saw the trap. Overpay for flash, ignore the foundation. Vikings news dissected it live. Fans raving about Sauce's 4.45 speed mirroring our blitz chaos, but analysts nodding to our actual moves like that Cam Akers flip for late picks, shoring run game without bleeding futures. Stats seal it. Teams trading 2 firsts for corners flop 40% long-term, per historical data, especially when depth's MIA like ours post-22 draft busts. 0 starters from those day 3 gems. Kwesi's call echoes his Hawkinson boldness but wiser. Why bet the house on inconsistent when Flores pressure, 2.7 sacks per game, already ranks us top 8? It's the smart man's skull. Build deep, not desperate. That volatility factor? It's why this trade's a Vikings wake-up. We crave the highs, but Kwesi's playing for the parade. Imagine Sauce here, picking off Goff twice a game. Dream fuel, but reality's our rally cry. What inconsistency worries you most in big swings? Flores' defense isn't built for corner worship. It's a wolf pack with 41% blitz rate forcing QBs into 1.8-second decisions. Per NGS, turning games into turnover fests, we lead NFC with 15 picks. After Murphy's shutdown, 78% comp rate allowed. Rodgers and Okudah hold the fort at 64% grades. Not shabby, but no Sauce shutdown. That's why fans clamored. Our 22nd ranked pass yards per game, 218, begs for another alpha. Yet in this scheme, corners thrive as finishers. Not features witness how our front four's 35% pressure rate without premium DBs still nets 20th in points allowed. Kwesi got it. Trading for Gardner means feeding the symptom, not the system. Break it down. Hockenson trade cost a second value, $2.5M. Returned 1,200 yards. Sauce's ask? Double that, for a role that's 20% of snaps in man coverage. With our 22 draft ghosts, 5 picks, 0 impact players, depth's the real foe, not star power. Vikings news forums buzzed with Flores first. Cheers, praising Kwesi's fidelity to the blueprint that's held since 23. It's chess. Why pawn 2 queens for a knight when the king's pressure rules? Smart, sustainable skull. This scheme loyalty is Kwesi's secret sauce, keeping us competitive without cap-killing gambles. But does it stifle splash? Fans? Weigh in Flores Wolves or add a Lone Star? Depth's our silent saboteur, that 22 draft fiasco, whiffing on Jordan Addison's class with late picks that yielded backups at best, left us rotating tape off the street. We've got 28th in run D, 128 yards per game, forcing Flores to drop 8 into coverage too often, bloating pass attempts faced by 15%. Sauce could have masked it, his slot versatility eating double teams, but at what cost? 2 firsts evaporate our reload ammo, and Mitchell's raw, 42 catches as rookie doesn't plug holes like a vet guard would. Kwesi's math. Preserve picks for 25 free agency, where we can stockpile without deadline panic. Vikings news crunched it. Teams low on picks post-trades win 12% fewer playoff games long-term. Our cap? $344 million spent. Richest in NFL but futures tight. Echoing Hockenson's seamless fit, Kwesi hunts harmony, not headlines. It's the fan frustration fuel. We see the gaps, feel the grind, but his vision's the North Star. Who's your depth dream fix? That draft debt? That's why Kwesi's standpat feels like armor, not apathy. Skull to the builder's mindset. Risk-reward roulette. Chasing Sauce mirrors Micah's megatrade, where Dallas bet big on 14 sacks a year, but our needs skew different pressures our ace, not pursuit. Parsons warps boxes with 10% forced fumble rate. Sauce disrupts skies at 8%, solid but not seismic. In Flores hybrid, we'd gain, sure, projected 5% DVOA bump per analytics, but volatility bites. His down games coincide with 120-plus passer ratings allowed. Kwesi weighed it against our 4-4 pulse. Post-Lions W where McCarthy's 278 yards sparked hope. Why volatile when steady swinning? Fan takes on Vikings news? Split 55-45 smart pass. Citing cap flexibility for 25 stars. Hockenson 2.0. Only if flawless, this was close, but no cigar. It's the thrill of the close call, keeping us hooked. Risk it for the biscuit, or bank the biscuit. This gamble gap? Pure Vikings drama, close enough to taste, wise enough to wait. Your call? Even if Sauce landed purple, fit questions linger. His zone drops, only 22% snaps, clash with Flores man prefs, potentially costing 3-4% efficiency early. We've thrived adapting Hockenson mesh day one, spiking YAC by 22%. But Sauce's press-first style shines in Indy's 7-2 surge, not our blitz ballet. Kwesi's no preserved scheme purity, where corners like Okudah, 3 PBUs last month, grow under Murphy's wing. Stats whisper vindication. Post-trade teams see 2% win dip if mismatches hit. Vikings news lauded the loyalty. Flores vision intact. As fans pondered the butterfly, Sauce here? Do we top NFC North? Dreamy, but disruptive. It's the what-if wizardry that bonds us. Fit or flop? Scheme synergy? Kwesi's betting on it big. And so far, it's purple poetry. Smartest stand? Absolutely for Quinnen Williams, that DT beast with 9 sacks last year. It'd be a no-brainer, bulking our front to unstoppable, projected 15% run stuff rate jump. But sauce? Nah, too niche for the price in a pressure-first D. Kwesi's restraint shines. We've got $12 million cap wiggle next offseason for targeted ads, not deadline desperation. Echoing 22's Hawkinson magic, Pro Bowl instant, he hunts multipliers, not mirrors. Vikings News crowned it deadline MVP, with polls at 68% approval post-announce. The league's chaos, Jets rebuild. Colts charge, spotlights our steadiness. 4-4 with health returning, McCarthy slinging fire. Does the fan high, no regrets, just reload. Who's your yes trade target? This savvy skip? Vintage Kwesi, building beasts, not buying hype. Wrapping the wisdom, Kwesi's no to sauce wasn't fear. It was football IQ, preserving our blitz bloodline while dodging depth drains. We've got Flores Wolves howling, McCarthy rising, and a fan base fiercer than ever. Vikings News will keep you locked, from U.S. bank roars to playoff pushes. Skol, Nation. Like if you're hyped, comment your deadline hot take, subscribe for non-stop purple updates, and share with your fellow maniacs. Let's pack the stadium and chase that ring. What's next? You tell me.